Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I think I have some answers for some of our testifiers, although they may not like them much. But first, let me welcome Regents Heining and Paloma. Welcome, and welcome back, Regent Higaki. It's wonderful to see so many of you here in person once again after 16 months, and congratulations on your modeling of a peaceful transition of power through your democratic election process. First, I have some excellent news to share from surveys late last month of UH students and employees. More than 92% of our students and 95% of our employees system-wide have been or plan to be vaccinated for the COVID-19 virus. About 7% of our students and 4% of our employees have no plans to receive a COVID-19 vaccine at that time. And some, as you heard from our testifiers, expressed concern over the lack of full U.S. Food and Drug Administration or FDA approval of any of the COVID-19 vaccines. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, our own university experts from medicine, nursing, and public health have been clear that getting vaccinated is the single most important thing our students and employees can do to protect not only their own health and well-being, but also that of their families and our campus communities. When we announced that all students would be required to be vaccinated to participate on campus, it was with the condition and, frankly, the expectation that at least one vaccine would be fully approved by the FDA by the fall semester. Over 500 universities nationwide have announced vaccination requirements, and the condition for full approval by the FDA is the same approach taken by, for example, the University of California and the Cal State University systems, two of the largest higher education systems in the country. The FDA has not completed the full approval process. So while our student vaccine mandate is as stated, enforcement will be limited to students residing on campus, not to attending classes in person. It may also extend to certain other specific activities, events, and facilities that will be determined based on the health risk assessment. Given the high rate of vaccination within our community and new guidelines that we're finalizing now, we're confident that our campuses will be safe places to teach, learn, live, and conduct research. Enforcement of the vaccination requirement to attend in-person classes will take place only after a vaccine is fully authorized by the FDA, so that would be no sooner than the spring 2022 semester. In the meantime, we will continue to reach out to all of our community to educate and to encourage. As you know, one of the uses of our federal relief funds is to provide direct financial support to students, and we have been doing that since we received our first allocation under the CARES Act, and subsequently there have been 2 additional federal acts as we've previously reported. Beginning this week, we began to discharge the outstanding financial obligations to UH of students on all 10 campuses who were enrolled anytime between March 13th, 2020, the beginning of the pandemic, through this summer 2021 session currently underway. Our normal practice is that students who owe us money are disenrolled from registration until they clear their debt or enter into a payment plan with us. Instead, what we're doing is we are clearing those debts with our federal funds so that they can maintain their enrollment rather than to be disenrolled. In addition to helping them in this direct manner with their tuition and fees, we are also continuing to encourage and invite students to apply for additional financial support for the challenges they face due to the COVID-19 pandemic with other relief funds that we have available to support students. So we're very optimistic that we'll continue to be able to help. I just want to share a bit of a note of thanks from one of our students to that student's chancellor. I got this actually just last evening. This pandemic has taken an extraordinary toll on my academic and personal life, and enrollment in the university for fall 2021 was jeopardized due to my inability to pay off my financial obligations in a timely manner. The threat of disenrollment was a source of major anxiety for me. So I was beyond elated and felt blessed when I received the email today saying that I was identified to receive the one-time financial obligation forgiveness. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And that's part of our commitment to really help our students get through their higher education journeys during this really difficult time safely and successfully. I like to report on the numbers each month, and enrollment is something we watch carefully. It's almost all good news. Today is 39 days before the first day of instruction. As of this morning, our UH system enrollment is up 5.3%. I don't think I've ever given you a report anywhere near that in the time I've been president. We are up almost 2,000 more students today than last year, 39 days before first day of instruction. 8 of our 10 campuses are up. Congratulations to Windward Community College, the highest percentage increase, currently at 18.4%. That's 225 students. I don't know how many of them are in the new online Hawaiian Studies program that you read about, but that's very successful. Manoa has the highest number of increase with 1,175 more headcount. That's about 8.3%. Also really good. Hilo is down only very slightly, just 10 students, so still time to catch up. And unfortunately, Regent Westerman, Kauai Community College is seeing the steepest decline. As of today, it's down about 12% or 99 students. That's also our smallest campus. So as always, anything can change in the next 39 days, but it is always better to be up than down when we're marking these things, and we will provide a full analysis, including which categories, resident, non-resident, first-time freshmen, transfers. We'll do that after our census date in the fall, a few weeks after the beginning of instruction. Also, good news on research. Our unofficial numbers, our fiscal year closed June 30, so just a couple weeks ago. Unofficially, we're at $485.7 million. We were hoping to break 488 because that's our highest in history, and that was in 2011, which was our peak year with large amounts of ARRA federal stimulus funds. That 485.7 does not include our formula-funded stimulus funds associated with the pandemic. So we're very excited and hoping we are on track maybe to break it next year. Philanthropy is also doing extraordinarily well. Again, we just missed our milestone. We did 99 million. That's our unofficial count. We were hoping to break 100. That is by far the highest in our history in years in which we didn't have one of our unicorn gifts like a Jay Scheidler gift or a Moore Foundation $40 million gift in, I think, my first year as interim president. So good news all around. A few transitions I want to comment on. One of our most important partnerships for the future of the state is with the Department of Education. Since I've been in this job, we've had excellent relationships, and before I was in this job, UH has enjoyed excellent relationships with the Department of Education. For me, it has been the last 2 superintendents. We've had lots of breakthroughs in our work together. Perhaps most notable is really booting up the early college program. Much of this work has been facilitated by our P20 Partnerships for Education program, which lives at the nexus between secondary education and higher education, and that work has been supported with extensive philanthropic support. In 2 weeks, the DOE will see another transition. We will miss Christina Kishimoto, who's been a great partner, and we also look forward to working with Keith Hayashi. He's currently the principal at Waipahu High School. He's an incredible innovator. We've done a lot of work with him, and he's also a 2-time UH graduate. P20 director Steve Schatz and I had breakfast with Keith last week. We talked about some of the things we can do together for the state. I think we are all deeply committed to work together to get more of our public high school graduates into higher education so that they can do better in their careers and in the community. And it's something Hawaii desperately needs from all of us working together. Some of the specific ideas that we identified are strengthening the pathways from high school programs, including but not limited to CTE programs, into specific curricula in higher education, community college, certificate programs, universities. We want to get them on pathways into living wage jobs starting in high school. And one of the tools that we expect to use is a lot more early college courses that directly support those pathways, including with online options. We know we're missing a lot of high school students who are at schools that don't have the critical mass for some of the specific courses that could launch them into their educational pathways. Second transition I want to mention is at US Indo-PACOM. They have also just gone through a leadership transition, and retiring US Indo-PACOM Commander Phil Davidson made it a priority in his last weeks to renew the Memorandum of Understanding between UH and Indo-PACOM, initially PACOM, in a formal signing ceremony we had at Camp Smith as we were slowly beginning to get together face to face. The UH-PACOM MOU was initiated first by President Greenwood, and we've now renewed it 3 times with different commanders each time. Our areas of focus moving forward will be community resilience and climate change, technology experimentation and innovation, and international intelligence and future studies, education, and workforce development. We're looking forward to working with his successor, Admiral John Aquilino, who moved over from PAC Fleet to replace him. We have been working with Admiral Aquilino for several years at PAC Fleet. He's been a great partner, and we look forward to continuing to work with him in his new role. Replacing him at PAC Fleet is Admiral Sam Paparo, and soon after Admirals Aquilino and Paparo had settled into their new jobs, Vice President Sirmos and I were invited and joined them both at a small reception up at Camp Smith with leaders from the community and from their organizations so that we could meet the key players that we'll be working with to advance our agenda together. I'm also happy to report that we've entered into a formal MOU with the Obama Foundation. Those of you who have been around for a while will recall that UH was the lead in Hawaii's bid to host the Obama Presidential Center, aka Obama Library. We were not selected, but after Chicago was selected, President Obama did call me and said he expected to do more with UH in Hawaii in the years to come. He had let me know at that time that it would be a while before he began to spend a lot of time here. Those of you who live on the windward side and follow the construction, seawall regulations and others know that that work is proceeding. We have now taken the first step by formalizing our relationship with the foundation with the intent to work initially to inspire, empower, and connect emerging leaders from across the Asia-Pacific region, and we expect to do that work here in Hawaii. So more to come as we begin to make this MOU real. Finally, I want to comment on the loss of 2 remarkable women, part of the UH community, both on July 3rd. Haunani-Kay Trask started her academic career here at UH Manoa in 1981 as an assistant professor in the American Studies Department. She focused then on feminist theory and indigenous studies. Among her many accomplishments before she retired in 2010, she is credited with co-founding the contemporary field of Hawaiian studies, and she went on to become the founding director here of the UH Manoa Center for Hawaiian Studies. She was a pillar and icon of the modern Hawaiian movement and the Hawaiian sovereignty movement, as well as an inspiration to indigenous people throughout the world. She was a widely recognized scholar, just this year elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, one of the highest honors bestowed in academia. She provided all of us at UH with opportunities, and throughout Hawaii, with opportunities to learn and grow as we reconsider our roles in Kuleana and Hawaii. And while her relationship with UH was complex, no question, we are a better institution for her passion, her insights, her criticism, her advocacy, her contributions, and her influence. Her legacy lives on through the David Stannard and Haunani-Kay Trask Endowed Scholarship in American Studies, which supports UH Manoa American Studies students pursuing research in Indigenous and/or Pacific Island studies. That same day, we also lost Barbara Barnard Smith, Professor Emeritus of Ethnomusicology. She joined UH in 1949, if you can believe it. And while she came here to teach piano and music theory, after she joined the department, she quickly realized that the Euro-American curriculum in music did not match the ethnicities of our UH students. She herself learned to perform the music of various ethnicities, and she introduced classes in hula and Hawaiian chant at UH, Korean dance, Chinese butterfly harp, Japanese gagaku, court music. She established the ethnomusicology program at UH Manoa and worked tirelessly to establish this new and vibrant field of study nationally and internationally. And she was indeed known throughout the country, around the world, with reaches throughout the Asia Pacific and into Europe. She retired formally in 1982, but she remained actively engaged, and she was even still advising dissertation students virtually during the pandemic. A 100th birthday symposium was planned in her honor last year, but we were unable to put it on due to the pandemic. And instead, and I'll have to say even fortunately, it turned into a year-long virtual celebration of her life and her work, culminating with a 101st birthday celebration just weeks before her passing. She had been named a living treasure, was recognized as a pioneer by the Honolulu City Council. She received the 2018 Hawaii Arts Alliance Alfred Prize Award and the Governor's Award for Preservation of Hawaiian Language, Art, and Culture. And she also will be deeply, deeply missed. And that, Mr. Chair, concludes the President's report.